So today I'm doing one of my favourite little walks, which I do from time to time, and I thought I'd record a little video about it, or about this section of it anyway. So I guess you would describe this as a vlog if you were down with the kids. I think that's the right term for it. Just walking down here, and you'll soon figure out, if you're sharp-eyed, you'll figure out where I am. So that is St Mary's Church in Orcheston. This place I come to quite often because it's not too far from where I live, and it makes a nice sort of half-day walk from my village and out onto Salisbury Plain and back down a little bridleway into Orcheston, which comes out here by the church. Just before we go further, I'm just going to show you this grave here, right by the path. You'll see the name. Hopefully you can make that out. Shannon. Maybe it's easy to see there. And anybody as old as me will know, or will remember, the great Southampton and England footballer and latterly a racehorse trainer, Mick Shannon. And Mick was born here in Orcheston, so one of the more notable residents. He doesn't live here now, but he was born here, and obviously members of his family have been here for generations, hence the gravestone there. The church is 13th century, and the tower there survives from that time, so that's pretty impressive, and it's quite a solid structure, so probably better built than a lot of churches of that time. And if you look at the clock, you will see that it stopped at 10:30. Now I wrote a blog about this church in, I think it was 2022, for a blog for Hidden Wiltshire, and I mentioned that the clock had stopped at 5:38. So it looks like in the last 2 years time has moved on either forward or back 5 hours here in Orcheston, which anybody who knows sleepy little Orcheston will find that quite impressive. So I guess, like any other church of this era, whilst the tower might date from the 13th century, other bits and pieces were added later on. I'm doing all this from memory. I haven't got anything written down in front of me, and my memory is appalling, so I'm not even going to attempt to tell you which bit was built when. So you can read up yourself on that. But it's well used, as you can see from the toys there in the window. Can't remember what that's all about, but maybe that was, they were knitted for charity, something like that. But the reason I'm shooting this little film is to talk about something that happened at this church in March, earlier on this year, 2024. And the church saw a huge gathering of people for the funeral of, and to celebrate the life of, a truly remarkable woman, Nicole Trahan, or Tran, however you pronounce it, Trahan. Nicole was French. She was born in the Pas-de-Calais region of France in 1926, and she died earlier on this year at the age of 97. And the remarkable thing about Nicole, and she changed her name to Nicola later on in life because she took British citizenship. Nicole was her mother was an English teacher, and Nicole was bilingual, English and French. And at the age of 16, she joined the French Resistance and spent, I'm not sure, a couple of years, I think it must have been, as a messenger, as a courier for the French Resistance, which for a 16-year-old girl was just absolutely remarkable. I'm not sure many 16-year-olds, boys or girls, would do that these days. And she was incredibly brave, and being a 16-year-old girl riding around on a bike, the Germans didn't really pay her much attention because she was behind enemy lines, as it were, and she was carrying messages for the resistance leaders, and they didn't really give her a second thought. So she was able to. She would stop because she would ride around on a bicycle, and she would stop for lunch somewhere and just sit and watch all the German troop movements, and all the time she was gathering really important intelligence. But as if that wasn't brave enough, she wasn't just a messenger. And I say just in inverted commas. She also bore arms, and she proudly said later in life that she had a pistol and a machine gun. And she, in an interview many years later, she said how much she enjoyed taking part in firefights, and she supposedly shot and wounded, or maybe she even killed one or two German soldiers. And her bravery was recognised by the French in 1949 when she was awarded the Croix de Guerre, one of the highest bravery awards. And after the war, she came to England, and as I say, she was sort of naturalised British. She then trained to be a nurse, and spent many years, I think, in the north of England as a nurse. And then she retired. She moved here to Orcheston in Wiltshire, and she lived in the village here for many years, where she was a well-known figure in the local community. I don't know how many people actually knew that what her background was. I guess some did. She very reluctantly spoke about what she did during the war, but I know that she was involved in cleaning the church here. Listen to this. Proper wrought iron gate there. But yeah, a remarkable woman. And I gather from a friend of mine who came to the funeral said that basically the church was completely full, and there were people outside, and a lot of dignitaries came to the funeral. And if we look down here, there it is, the order of service for Nicole's funeral, with a very important looking army officer. She was also awarded the MBE, but probably now that she's passed away and sort of her identity has become more widely known, she may even be more famous than Mick Shannon. Wouldn't that be a thing? Just going to go and look at what was on the windowsill there. There you go. Oh, isn't that lovely? That's going to make a lovely photograph, which I will do in a bit. I assume that vase there looks like a shell casing, because obviously we're out here on the edge of Salisbury Plain, and the live firing area is not far from here. In fact, as I walked across Salisbury Plain to get here, we're right at the end of August, and the red flags are up once again, and so large chunks of it will be off limits because of military training. But anyway, there you go. Just look at that light. This is why I love churches so much, especially old churches, or particularly old churches. Just the incredible light. So I will just leave you to take that in for a while.